Hello, everybody, and welcome back after Game 1. Team Liquid Academy having a very strong performance there. Evil Geniuses, they were in it until they weren't. And fun fact, they not only did Team Liquid Academy not drop a turret that game, but they were actually down in kills until that final fight. Yeah. Evil Geniuses Academy, that's how hard that they were fighting there. So I think props Max to noting that the Fiora comp, it didn't work out how they wanted to with split pushing. But hey, they were getting the kills. They were hanging out for a while.
They were doing that. The Zarian specific there for Cowrie, putting in quite a bit of work early and in mid game as well. I think the Graves is just a little too good for Bradley. So the laning king, the Magical so namely called him. Pretty good.
Magical, I want to go back on that before we get into our game show here, because Bradley is a player that you were mentioning, even at Scouting Grounds, was highlighted as best laner in a different lane. Our eyes have been on him, and our focus this entire year has been, how is the role swap going to look? You know, Bradley, we know that he's a good mid laner in the amateur and collegiate scene. Now he's playing in Academy in a different role. How do you feel his current form is now in games like this, performances like this, compared to where he was coming into the year? And do you think he's meeting the expectations that we had set for him back at the beginning of the year?
The best way I think you can really look at it is just compare solo kills from last split to this split. You just see how this guy, it's like, I think it's twice as much just in the regular split alone that he had from spring to summer. The guy really improved just over the course of such a short amount of time. Hell, he won Proving Grounds in his first year in Academy. This is a very impressive thing that when we reevaluate this, a lot of people were kind of like, it's the rest of the team, they're really powerful. But now the conversation should be more around Bradley. Sure, some mistakes happened, like when he died level 1 in this previous game. But I feel like he's grown so much over the course of just 1 year.
And
it's awesome to see
still
his growth.
First year of Academy.
Yes.
He could win twice in his first year of Academy still.
They are favored in Proving Grounds in Summer Split. That would be incredible, but first they got to get across that finish line. So while we wait for game number 2, Pick and Ban, to start up, we're going to have a little bit of fun on the broadcast and play a game, a newer game that shout out to Ravish for coming up with the concept for this one, but I loved it so much I want to try it. Time is money. Smacks, I believe you've played this, but Magical, I'll explain the rules for you as well as everybody watching on Twitch right now. I was taking some screenshots of item builds during the game along with timestamps. Now I've sent that information to production, and you're gonna have a lower third that gives the item names, and that's it. And the two of you have to guess what timestamp that was and also who the build belongs to. Now I'll give you usually we went into this at the top of the day. We were like, what's an appropriate time? 30 seconds, give or take. I might have changed up a little bit on you, so I'm actually going to limit that to 15 seconds, give or take. So you have to get it within a total 30-second window, 15 seconds either way. Let's take a look at the first one. So production can run that. Smacks, you'll be up first. This is the build. What is the timestamp of this?
Yes, this is definitely Graves.
Yeah. That's
definitely
not hard.
Bradley.
That one part of it's not hard. But when did he have all that?
So, okay, this is before he almost got solo killed by LeBlanc.
Right.
Because he doesn't have the Hextra Green.
No.
He's an elixir. So, this would have been when they were doing the Baron dance. But it would have been just as he purchased it because he still has the elixir in his inventory. I'm going to go ahead
He does still have it, yep.
Yeah, so it's a 37-minute game. I'm going to say that he got this in let's go with 31 minutes. That's when
31
he has this.
on the dot.
Minutes.
I like 31 on the dot.
Oh god, this is horrible because my initial thought was 30-45.
30-45. Oh, that's right at the cusp right there.
So I'm gonna lower it just slightly to 30-30, just so that way there's not the overlap.
All right, 30-30. On the timer, on the clock. I feel so bad that I changed the rules. I think we were supposed to go in reverse order on this one. It was 31-23. So, Smacks, you were very close. Very close to getting that one. But as we take a look at the next one, I think you'll start to see the trend here. But you also both got it that it was Bradley, of course, on the grade.
That was easy.
Let's take a look at number 2. So when did this one happen?
Can I go first on this one? It's still Bradley.
Sure, you can go first on this one, man. Yeah, we'll swap
them.
We'll swap them up. That way it doesn't give an
I'm going to go with 9 minutes and 15 seconds.
9:15. All right, Smacks. Do you want to try and go above or below that?
I think he got this at like, well, okay. So he was walking out of the base. I noticed it around that time, but I'm pretty sure he had it slightly before. So I'm gonna say 8:59 for this.
Smacks! It was 8:59.
No!
You got it exactly.
Damn!
Sorry.
Nicely
That-
done.
okay, I
Nicely
think there should be a
done.
rule. If you get exactly the time, you get a bonus point.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
Smacks wins
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
already.
That's
at
what
this
I'm
point. Unless Magical gets exactly the time on the next
But
one.
I'm just saying, it's like
'Cause of
that
course
should
I will
definitely be
run
a
this 3
bonus point
times.
because that is impressive.
Yes,
That's
in the game where we're
insane.
not keeping track of points, we'll give Smacks 2 for that one. Neither of you scored points on the first one, even though you were very close. Now let's take a look at the third item build here. All right,
Wait.
so this one's kind of sandwiched in between. I'll give you that hint already, as you should be able to tell. There's a general theme here. I'm assuming you're both guessing Bradley.
No.
Yep, it's Bradley.
Smacks, you're up first, though.
All right. So he does not have his fourth item yet. Does have 3 items. So LDR is Lord Dominic's Regards. So he's got 3 items. This would have been like 20 in that range. I'm obviously gonna go with Bradley. I think this was. Let's go 2240. 2240.
Okay.
24,
2240. 20. Wait, what was
Ooh,
it?
so
24?
37.
So yeah, he's later than me.
37. Wow, you're really just making me do math live on broadcast, but it doesn't matter because I don't have to. Smacks gets it again.
Woo!
Wow. 2250.
I was
You were
10
within 10
seconds off.
seconds.
Wow,
That's
nice.
pretty good. All right.
Nice.
Difference between a color caster and a play-by-play caster, everybody. Incredible stuff right there. So let's go through the numbers, okay? Production, if we can run maybe those lower thirds back, I don't know if I'm putting too much work on them, but in order, number 1, 8:59. He had Eclipse completed.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
before 9 minutes has his first full item. That is absolutely absurd. And Smacks, we felt that from that moment. It was he was able to get the 1-for-1 kill because the jungler came up even after giving that first blood and just bounced back incredibly in this game and was so oppressive in that side lane.
It's the reason that we were calling him the laning king in that game. It was brutal. He's playing against Fiora, the 1v1 queen of League of Legends.
Mhm.
That is the thing that she does. And you're getting completely trounced by Bradley's Graves up there, nearly flame horizoning at multiple points in the game. It really
Yep.
only took that 1 kill in that top lane. And you have to remember too, this is a Fiora that had an assist already. So there's already a gold lead before you even enter the lane. Bradley was late to the lane on top of it. So much stuff that are playing against Bradley in that lane, and he still comes out ahead. It's wild.
You mentioned the Flame Horizon, so let's take a look at the second one because at 22 minutes 50 seconds, Eclipse, LDR, and Mortal Reminder. 3 items completed at 2250.
Wow.
That is also absurd.
Yeah.
And he was 229 CS to 136 CS on 30. Magical. Bradley, I think it's based on 1 game sample size, at least. If we're just looking at today, this is a pretty successful role swap.
1 game. Let me up the ante with a whole year. Come on, man. Give some respect to him
Okay.
in top lane, man.
Double down.
Bradley has been honestly just performing so well. It started off rough and rocky at the very beginning, way back in January and February. But we have seen the growth of this player through it all, just slowly but surely. I mean, I still remember because he's also played it pretty recently. The Prowler's Claw Gangplank before anyone else had really touched it. And he was just this Gangplank king. Now he's then he played Shyvana into the Gangplank and was able to win that way.
Yeah.
Now he's bringing back Graves top lane. What can't this guy do?
Running it back. So let's go over the last one more time. And again, reminder, this is within 9 minutes difference. He picks up an Infinity Edge. He's averaging 1 completed item pretty much every 7.5 minutes. I didn't do the actual math, but it's somewhere around between like 7.5 to 8 minutes per item completed. This is absolutely crazy. And he also even picked up the Elixir of Wrath for that second Baron attempt. They didn't actually secure it at that moment, but it's cool to see that his mind is even on how can I get more efficient? Because Elixir of Wrath isn't something that you buy because it's going to turn into anything else. You buy it because you're like, I want to be the strongest I can possibly be right now. Especially when then we saw what he did with the X-Drinker later because of the LeBlanc problem. So props to Bradley. I'm just really impressed overall with that performance.
And you said this was before they took Baron. They actually didn't take Baron the entire game. They were able to push without it because Bradley was doing so much work in that side lane, not dropping a single turret for the entire team, for the entire game, Team Liquid. Yeah, a very dominant performance. It all comes down to that top lane.
So let's flip the switch now and talk about it from the Evil Geniuses Academy side. You just went up against Team Liquid Honda and had a very rough game one. Keeping in it with the fights and the kills, sure, that felt good, but what's the fix here? What's going on with Surdy joining up for fights, not going for the side lane push as much, or maybe a little bit dropping the bag there, fumbling the bag in the early
I don't think there's any problem with Surdy joining up in these fights. He had lots out in side lane. He doesn't really have the pressure there. This is the backup plan. That's what you kind of have to do. The thing I think, we got the average for you, by the way.
Ooh.
But the thing I think is you don't blind Fiora into Bradley. I think that you have, if you're going to remain on red side, which is actually kind of what I theorized, you try to get counterpick there because you had the opportunity to pick that LeBlanc earlier. You already knew that Azir was there. You knew most of the composition. So why not just pick the LeBlanc then and then go for the counter afterwards?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bradley the Bradley lane gap is so threatening that you can't blind pick anything into that. If you're going to go back to red side, save counterpick for top side. We've seen Surdy do a lot in that lane. I hope that they do it.
Well, options for Evil Geniuses Academy, how they want to adapt in this series, because they do have another chance right here as Pick and Ban is ready. So, Magical Smacks, take it away.
As we'll see if this ends up being our last game of the night, or if we have Evil Geniuses back out. I know what, I saw that too. I was about to say, Evil Geniuses have opted to go onto blue side, which is a bit surprising to both you and I.
Yeah, no counterpick at all for Evil Geniuses Academy. And, well, I mean, that's not entirely true. They can still counterpick some things, but no top lane counterpick that they can guarantee. No guaranteed counterpicks for Evil Geniuses Academy. We'll see what they've got in store for us, even with that in play. Taking away a lot of these junglers, the jungle matchup is going to be entirely different this time around, with Poppy and Trundle being the very first two bans.
And I'm not surprised to see both of those on the ban list. Because Armeo, on that Trundle, he had so much control over the neutral objectives and trying to set up his team. Well, we saw Tomio not necessarily have the control around neutral objectives, but he had control around his teammates to try to help out everyone, unfortunately, except for Surdy.
Oh, this is really interesting, too. Team Liquid are actually taking away Azir, thinking that it is strong enough to first pick, as they showed in the last game. But even though Harry had a great performance on it, they're going to remove that one from the pool. Draven. Was Draven banned in last game?
No, he was not. No, he was not. That's actually a very interesting ban to see. And with Kalista still being left open, I wonder if that's the angle they want to first pick Kalista, unless that gets banned by Team Liquid now.
I would like the Kalista ban. There are still some other junglers that are really strong that you could ban away too. The Wukong comes to mind. We'll see what that final ban is. I like the Kalista call out, and so do they. Team Liquid Honda trying to remove the most powerful laning bot laners from the pool, maybe going back to scaling like that Zeri Yuumi lane that we saw from before. And yeah, this is already going to be a very different game from the game one that we just witnessed.
See, where normally I'd be like, oh yes, we'll probably see a first pick Wukong for Evil Geniuses now. Viego is something that is left open that Armeo has been playing every single time possible into that matchup. So now that they've locked that in right away for Tomio, I'm expecting Armeo just to answer with a Viego that had actually not been banned. I'm surprised it hadn't been banned before, but is still open and he's more than comfortable playing.
Seems rather likely considering the pool of junglers that are already gone and that Wukong, like you said. A very powerful option will be scooped up by Tomio, and it was a pretty solid game, all things considered, from Tomio specifically in the last game. He did a lot to set up for Kaori in the bot lane. He was able to get a bunch of kills early, and he even had that one ultimate to deny away the Drake Soul from Armeo. It's just, it wasn't quite good enough, and I think if they're going to play the exact same way and they have Surdy on a more safe top laner, it should be pretty fine for EG, especially if they have Kaori really snowballing. So We'll see.
And the Viego does get locked in for Armeo. Was able to call that one out. But Yawn grabbing Lucian again. Technically, it does have the flexibility, but we just haven't seen it in such a long time that I doubt that that's going to be the reality for Bradley, though I wouldn't put it past him because he has a very, very large champion pool. But either way, you have this for the bot lane that we're expecting for Yawn and Ayla. The Sona, I talked about before that I expected to be that thing that could bridge the gap for Lucian from the early to the mid to the late game, and was able to do so quite well and seemed nearly impossible for Evil Geniuses to do anything about.
Ooh, okay. So they're playing on the side of Evil Geniuses. They're playing into a lane dominant champion like this Lucian, and they have those couple of options. Are they going to play into the Lucian Nami and try to beat it in lane? Seems unlikely. Draven and Kalista are already off the board. It's very difficult to pick two champions that will actually do anything against those options that Team Liquid are so heavily telegraphing with the Lucian first pick. So they go with the complete opposite. Full scaling, only late game from this bottom lane, only safety as well with the Sivir and the Lulu. And I want to talk about Sivir a bit because this is the best defensive AD carry in the entire game right now. Even more so than something like an Ezreal who you'd usually put in that role.
Interesting.
With the change for her spell shield going to health instead of mana, you can stay in lane a lot longer because you get extra sustain from that as well. Even if you're taking a lot from auto attacks, you can still use that to block the spells that are arriving your way. So I like this option quite a bit.
Yeah, it is actually, I think, one of those picks. That's why we saw it banned before, but by Evil Geniuses, that has gotten completely under the radar for most people, where you start realizing how powerful she can be. And she's no slouch in the lane phase. Once you get a couple of levels, you can just clear out waves. I mean, there's a reason why we saw the lethality Sivir way long ago, because it was annoying to deal against. She just throws out the boomerang blade and is like, yeah, I'm done. The wave's gone. Yeah, okay, GG.
Yeah. The wave clear is still unmatched for Sivir also. I like that you mentioned that because it's a defensive champion in lane and in the mid game too. If you are facing down a strong siege composition, throw a boomerang blade and a couple of ricochet autos and that wave is gone. You don't have to worry about it anymore. So yeah, Evil Geniuses, they've got their late game on lock. They can go for some stronger picks early game if they would like to in that mid and top lane, which they will have to. They'll have to blind pick one of them. We'll see which one it actually is. I would like to see a blind mid here for Team
that
Liquid.
as well. That's what I'm expecting is blind mid for Harry. Maybe something like the LeBlanc that we saw before. That could be an option that they want to go for. That's also a classic pick for Harry, but then a blind LeBlanc isn't necessarily going to be the best thing in the entire world. Seeing what the last lock-in is. It actually is a LeBlanc. I was right.
All right. Yeah. A lot of power from that mid lane here for Harry. It's not the Azir. They already banned that one away, so just showing what his secondary preference is, or I guess maybe fourth preferences. There was also an Akali and a Ryze ban I neglected to mention. So yeah, I mean, we saw the LeBlanc wasn't actually able to do a whole lot in that last game. It was threatening sometimes. It just didn't actually fully 100-0 anybody that we've seen LeBlanc do in the past. So for Harry, maybe this is the opportunity where he can show us that LeBlanc is still capable of this, depending on how strong you can get in the early game. Blind top of choice is Gnar.
And so I will say this, it's going to kind of derail us a bit. Normally, I don't check socials. I don't check Twitch chat while casting. But I got a DM, and it's from Bradley's mom. And I talked to her before, and she is such a sweetheart. And she just messaged me about, like, she asked Bradley, her son, about, you know, what he thinks is responsible for his big improvement. Is like, you know, I don't think I've improved that much. Just everyone else is not playing as good as me, and that's it. And I think that Bradley is highly underselling himself. I think that Bradley is playing very well, and that everyone might not be playing up to his level because his level has grown that much more.
So Bradley's mom sent you a DM pumping up her son's ego. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, no, she was trying to get me to pump up the ego that he was not trying to pump up at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
So, that's where I give credit. And now Bradley gets his gangplank too. So I told you I was going to derail the conversation. But getting back into the gangplank for Bradley that I talked about just a bit ago, saying that he was one of the innovators of the Prowler's Claw gangplank. Sure, not the only one. There were many other people. But he was definitely one of the first pioneers of it. Goes up against Surdy's Gnar. And so looking at this, it's a very interesting matchup. It almost feels like we have very similar identities for the two teams.
Yeah, he was on the Prowler's Gangplank Mayflower, or I suppose the Leviathan, as I believe that is his pirate ship in the lore. Yeah. I think it's Leviathan. I could bring out the book. Do you want me to bring out the lore book? We can look for it.
Oh, we got confirmation.
Ooh.
I was actually gonna say to bring out the book, but then production just answered it for you, so you don't have to worry about that. But let's talk about what
production does not support me bringing out the book.
One day. But let's look at the compositions of the two teams. Well, okay, I got a word from production. You can go get the book. So if you want to go get the book, you're allowed to go get the book. But I'll talk about this because I look at Evil Genius's composition, and it feels like they still have some of that split push element to their team, which is why I said it kind of seems similar to what they had before. Lissandra is really good at picks, as well as you have that scaling from the Sivir Lulu bot lane. Gnar, something that's going to be great for initiations as well. The only thing is a lack of AP burst damage in a lot of these fights. Well, Lissandra will do a good amount of damage. It's not necessarily the greatest. And then Team Liquid have really good scaling aspects except for the bot lane.
I've got the book.
You got the book. What does the book say?
All right. We gotta find Bilgewater. Okay, Bilgewater is on page 162.
So I got a book
there.
too, but it's very different looking.
So here's the slaughter docs. Look at that. Oh, hold on. Hold on just 1 second. We're gonna work on the fly here.
All right, you know what?
Transform.
What are you
Flip
doing?
horizontal. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
I can read it.
Sweet. All right, done with this bit. Let's get into game. Let's stop delaying. We're dilly-dallying, and it is important that we watch Proving Grounds and not just talk about books, but you should read it if you're out there. Team Liquid Honda Academy have the edge at the moment with a game over Evil Geniuses Academy themselves. The Evil Geniuses trying to go for a very similar identity to the last game, even if a lot of the components have changed.
For Team Liquid Academy, that early game is going to be the big difference maker because they're not really playing for the top lane this time. You have to imagine. I mean, they could. They certainly could do that. But you have to imagine that they're playing towards this Lucian and Nami lane that we so often see completely dominate these lanes. And, I mean, for Sivir and Lulu, it's really difficult to actually break them, but you gotta try regardless, because otherwise Lucian and Nami, they're going to expire in terms of their effectiveness very quickly.
I didn't know that champions could expire outside of expiring when they get killed.
All right. I'm getting word that I'm actually able to be seen in the game.
Oh.
I'm still looking for the ship
There you go.
in the book.
All right. Why don't you look for the ship, and I'll just keep talking about the game.
I'm looking
How's
for the
that?
ship. Yeah,
You,
I'm looking for the
you
ship.
do that, and I'll just keep talking about the game. You don't have to talk. You don't have to worry about anything. Everyone's just going to have to get annoyed by my voice talking over and over again about nothing. So, in this game, it is going to be Cowrie smoothly. A little late to the bot lane, but against a Lucian Nami, it is still a rough lane to face off against, especially because it's going to be the battle for level 2 experience between the two teams. If Cowrie's able to get that, wrestle it away from Yeon and Ayla, then it's just pushing the wave every single time and not allowing Yeon to play as aggressively as you'd want to play as the Lucian Nami lane.
I found the ship.
Oh, you found the ship!
Yep, there it is.
I like
Wait,
how it's
hold
getting
on.
green screened a bit.
Yeah, let me turn that off real quick. Look at that.
The quality is...
That's the... Oh, now the other green screen.
Yeah, I was
right.
about to say,
Well,
it's not the book
Leviathan.
quality, it's literally the green screen quality. But anyway, all right, the bit's dead.
All right.
The bit's dead. We're killing it like Gangplank got killed, but then somehow resurrected himself. So in this game, we see at the moment...
You really didn't read the lore.
No, I didn't. All I know is that he died and then came back to life like a zombie. So, Tomio,
Let's talk about League of Legends
Tomio,
now.
Armeo. Let's not just talk about League of Legends. Tomio, Armeo. The Wukong Viego matchup. And I talked before about how whenever we see this Wukong picked up against Armeo, he always goes for this Viego, which is typically the pick to go against. But Armeo especially, this Viego pick has been something that we've seen a very different style out of him. Instead of being just the lackadaisical, I'm going to get control of the map for you guys, I'm also going to be the carry for the team.
Mm-hmm. We've seen Armeo have some carry performances on other champions as well. I remember
but
the
not quite like the
pentakill
Viego
on Sejuani.
Yeah, but that's not quite the Viego now, is it?
No, it's not.
The resets
He's
you
the
get,
reset champion.
Exactly. And
yes.
Up against something that has a bit more pick potential, such as what Evil Geniuses have drafted for themselves to be a bridge so they can get to the late game. I feel like this kind of gives Armeo a little bit, only a small window to try to see if he can punish Tomio. And if it doesn't work out, Tomio can really help out these lanes build themselves up.
This is so interesting. Tomio, he had the read that Armeo was in the vicinity, and okay, yeah, he actually will deny the steal on these wolves. Armeo forced to take a recall. I wonder what. Oh, okay, it's this top ward here. So he saw Armeo walk in after taking the Krugs and knew that there was that possibility for the invade. And read it very well. Nice job there for Tomio, who is still a little bit behind on his jungle clear. He didn't take his own Krugs, instead opting for the Scuttle Crab. Now Armeo's on the map earlier, a higher level, and maybe will be contesting.
Bot lane getting a lot of control against Yon and Ayla, dodging away from the bubble. Are they just looking for the 2v2 solo kill? But they gotta be carried. Kaori, here's low. Armeo is on the hunt, but he's spotted out by Tomio, so it will be the bot lane forced out for Team Liquid Honda.
Okay, this is unprecedented behavior right now, Magical, because Yon and Ayla, they're playing the aggressors in this bottom lane. They're the ones who you expect to have all of the power, all of the agency early on. But Kaori and Smoothie, they're showing why we said this is one of the best defensive bot lane pairs you could possibly draft. Sivir and Lulu. There's not a lot that you can do to poke out these two champions, and we're seeing that right now.
Plus, I talked about it before, the level 2 spike, whoever gets that will control the lane. Sure enough, Kaori Smoothie were the ones to hit level 2 first. That really forced the hands of Yon and Ayla, and now put them in a really troubling spot because that wave is frozen in the bot lane. Smoothie was able to catch that pretty well. I'm sure Yon and Ayla will do their best to make sure it's not going to be frozen. It kills a lot of time for them to try to see if they can set up other things while giving a lot of time to Evil Geniuses to get their own control of River.
It's definitely a good look for Kaori and Smoothie, who have been able to hold their own inside of the lane against Yon and Ayla. The undisputed best bot lane pair that we've had in Academy this entire year. They won the entire first Proving Grounds in the spring, and they've looked so dominant otherwise also. But now here's Armeo. Oh no, this is not warded at all.
Here's the general. No, look at Tomio. Look at where Tomio is. This actually could just be a full-up skirmish. He jumps over the wall. They're going to be able to spot him. The flash comes in from Smoothie, but because they spotted out Tomio on that blue trinket, they are the ones that have to relent.
Man. It's one of those moments where you're playing Uno and one person drops the draw 4 and then the other person responds with another drop 4 as well. Just both playing the exact same card. It's a stalemate at that point. And yeah, both junglers arrive having the exact same idea. Maybe showing us why Armeo and Tomio have so much respect for each other, because they both go for the same kind of plays.
It was great reads out of, I honestly got to give that over to Tomio. Just perfect placement to be set up to make sure he can defend the bot lane. Expecting that Armeo, since he hasn't really been seen too much on the map as well, you talked about it before, Snacks, that the bot lane is really what you want to attack if you're Team Liquid Honda. You really want to make sure you're getting the solution Nami into a position where they don't have to worry about falling behind eventually because they're already snowballing out of control.
Team Liquid, they already have an established scaling lane up top also. This Gangplank will be so strong later on. There's not a lot of mobility on the side of Evil Geniuses at all. Even Soligo, after uses that Frozen Path, you're still going to take a huge chunk from the barrels, even if you're a Lissandra, a champion usually thought to be more durable than other mages. You're still going to fall victim to that one against Bradley. So see what that top lane looks like for Team Liquid in the future. It seems like Surdy is getting the better end of the deal this time around. As Evil Geniuses, they're setting up shop for Drake.
I was about to say, last game we saw that there's a lot of control. Bradley was able to get in the top lane just by himself, even if it was just one kill gifted over to him early. After that, he got ganked and still was able to turn around and have a good fight against Evil Geniuses. So in this position, he's not necessarily lording the control of top lane, being the king of lane phase that he was, where he got voted best laner over in Scouting Grounds.
This feels like a winning position for Evil Geniuses Academy right now.
At the moment.
Yeah, at the moment. Like, it could change very quickly, but even just the fact that they're keeping afloat, but the style of champions that they are currently playing, I feel like Lissandra works really well into what Team Liquid wants to do. They have these skirmishing champions that want to dive forward on top of you and kill you one at a time. Lissandra does a lot to prevent that with her crowd control and with her ultimate as well, the Frozen Tomb. Super good on both offense and defense against that style. I feel like even if Saligo does fall victim to being down CS against Harry in this lane, it's still going to be really good in the future. Same thing with Lulu, actually. Her defensive maneuvers, great for those skirmishes.
So where I talked before about how Lissandra is a pretty good pick tool that you can utilize, I do have to bring up a point that I did forget to touch on. Is that Saligo, this most played champion, I think, in his entire career has been this Lissandra. Back when he first joined like Academy, he was on Lissandra pretty much all the time and felt the most confident on this champion. So we can see even here where that's a lot of pressure onto him to perform. He's got a champion that he's put so many hours on, so much time into. With a game as crucial as this one, where it's win or lose, if they lose this one, they are knocked down to the lower bracket.
See if Team Liquid can take advantage of Saligo on his so powerful Lissandra not being here at all for this Rift Herald, or at least not here early.
Wait.
Team Liquid, they're really looking for this.
They were looking for it, but they were looking for that Nora ult into the wall out of Surdy, but now he's mini. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. Saligo, he is here finally. All 5 are here. Cannon Barrage comes out, but it's going to be secured with the Cyclone onto Armeo. Armeo trying to get out with the Heartbreaker, but he's got no way out. First blood for Cowrie, as now Yanni shows up into the fight, but there is no fight left. It has been won by the Geniuses.
Everybody's here for the side of Evil Geniuses Academy. They already had the secure there for Tomio, but once Armeo tries to commit to that Rift Herald, he already knows too late that he cannot survive. A clean objective take for Evil Geniuses Academy. Even though Saligo did take that opportunity to recall, they still had more members on the Rift Herald before. Smoothie and Cowrie were earlier on the rotation. They already had Surdy with his Mega Gnar bullying out the likes of Bradley, and the scaling members of Evil Geniuses, they're on the bot side. They already had those really strong skirmishers there. That's the difference between the Gnar and the Gangplank this early on. Gangplank doesn't do a whole lot until you have 1 or 2 items under your belt. So EG already were stronger. Then on top of that, they had the rotation advantage.
Giving the gold over to Cowrie, your late game insurance, the one that you want to scale up into the game with a couple items of your own. Pretty good look for Evil Geniuses to bounce back in Game 2 against our top-seeded team in Team Liquid, the #1 squad. But I also do want to bring up a little bit of a history lesson where we talked about the 2nd seed curse. That was initiated by Team Liquid back in spring of 2021. They were the first team to suffer from your curse, Max. But there's also a new curse that happened in the last split set by CLG Academy. And the fact that you have a #1 seed losing into the winner's bracket in this exact round, which might just happen when you make plays like that.
It's so difficult to get any sort of damage on top of Lissandra for that exact reason. You have Harry on the LeBlanc. He knows he can win these trades if it's just an isolated 1v1. But you can't always guarantee that that's exactly what you're going to get. Harry, he dives forward, and there's just an immense amount of crowd control directly on top of him. The Frozen Tomb, the Lissandra W, as well as the Whimsy, making sure that everything is so difficult for a LeBlanc. That's only going to get harder as the game goes on, too, and you have the cooldown lower and lower for Frozen Tomb and the Whimsy. Harry is learning very quickly why this matchup is not very favorable for LeBlanc.
Let's see, this is where I want to turn back the sands of time once more to talk about my own experiences in League of Legends. Back when LeBlanc was really powerful in the meta, I remember playing 2 champions pretty much every game. I would let the LeBlanc through so I could play either Lulu mid or Lissandra mid. Both champions worked so well into LeBlanc, and always people forget about how well those 2 champions in tandem with each other or just by themselves can counteract a lot of what LeBlanc needs to do, which is get in, burst, and get out.
And when you've got 2 of those champions on your team, it makes it doubly hard for LeBlanc to do it, but it also means you can split up and do it onto multiple champions.
No,
hold on one second, Jan.
He's caught out. The tidal wave comes through. They got a lot of damage, but his knight's thrown back in their face with the Cyclone. They also have that throw change. Wait a minute. How is Tomio alive? There's no way. They're in the back line. The general will fall. And what is a troop of warriors without their leader? They are nothing as Evil Geniuses turn to get their 2nd dragon.
They're still climbing in this game, Magical. I already said before that the game looked like a winning one for Evil Geniuses Academy, and they're continuing to prove it and continuing to double down on it also. Yan, caught out so early, puts Team Liquid Academy in a very precarious position, and then Smoothie, with all of his utility, keeps Tomio alive with the help of Cowrie's heal. No resets come through. That tiny amount of HP is the difference between Armeo getting that reset and not. And it's so much gold as well. This is the problem when you're playing a Viego. It's very different from other junglers. You need to get kills, or you at least need to get takedowns. And when you don't find a single one, the fight cannot possibly be yours.
And with 3 kills now picked up by Cowrie, getting a double kill in that last fight. A 3,000 gold lead in total for Evil Geniuses Academy. Things seem to be going all Evil Geniuses all the way, but we can't ever count out Team Liquid Academy. I talked before how this team, sometimes the lane phase doesn't necessarily work out, but it's how they bounce back in mid-game, how they follow their leader in Armeo around positioning around the map that tends to make them such a dominant team because they just out-macro nearly everyone.
That may be true, Magical, but Evil Geniuses, they're doing a lot in this game right now. Their mid jungle has been far more effective than Armeo and Harry, and that is saying a lot. Tomio and Saligo have gone through so much this year as a duo. I think a lot of people have very low expectations of them as a duo after seeing the entire year unfold. I mean, just in the last Proving Grounds, they took a very disgraceful exit where they lost to Taco Gaming, an amateur team, to get eliminated from the event. Pretty rough stuff for Evil Geniuses in that last Proving Grounds, but here they are in the upper bracket still after round 1, playing against Team Liquid in the second round as well, and they very well could make this a tie series if this game goes the way it has been so far. 4K gold lead, 4-0 in terms of the kills. They've had a really solid control over the objectives as well. This is completely outstanding for Evil Geniuses Academy. They're ramping up really well.
And remember what I talked about with how Tomio tends to play. How he tries to set up his team and make sure those carries are most impactful. When we got a look at the gold just a minute ago, we saw that while Tomio has a good lead over Armeo, most of that lead is on Cowrie. Setting up your Sivir, the late game teammate that you want to have already a 1,500 gold lead over Yan on a Lucian is a great play from Evil Geniuses.
And with that lead, Cowrie, he can scale so safely into this game. Even though Sivir has been reworked, the 400 CS win condition of Sivir is still alive and well. And we're keeping a tally here. That is 256 CS left before that hits. Some quick addition and subtraction there for you. Shout out to my 2nd grade teacher for that one.
I don't know how to respond on that. Instead, let's look at this. Smite secured, I believe, by Armeo. Yep. Tomio, gonna be focused away, does not control. It's a nice bubble out of Ayla to make sure that the smite was not gonna come in time.
Ooh, Surdy. Our ultimate.
This
is where you can possibly show that he's stronger.
Yeah, but you gotta be careful. This is still Bradley on Gangplank, and you try to go up against the king of solo kills. You're only gonna get burned. He's chasing down, dodging the boomerang. Smoothie is in the vicinity to back up, and now Bradley realizes it is not a 1v1. He got baited in. It is actually gonna be a turnaround kill for Surdy.
Oh man, Surdy. He was already doing a lot of damage just in that 1v1, but his team has got his back. And now Evil Geniuses, they rally behind him as well, looking for an engage.
Look at flush in with the Ring of Frost comes in from Saligo. Ayla, the first casualty taken down by Tomio. Heartbreaker away, but Armeo is low and not going to be able to rejoin the battlefield for quite some time.
This lead is staggering for Evil Geniuses Academy. They can set up around this Drake as well, bringing themselves to 3 in a row. And they're not dropping a single member so far. We talked about how Team Liquid, it felt like they were doing a great job Up until that turret just now, this has been a near perfect game for Evil Geniuses Academy. They're still keeping it going as well. I'm loving this look from them. The way that Soligo and Tomio have been able to roam around this rift and make it their own has been phenomenal.
It's all about the comfort. Evil Geniuses have decided to draft themselves what they feel most confident with. Soligo on this Lissandra, you can tell just how confident he is playing. Using the claw, flashing in with the Ring of Frost, saying, yeah, my team's right behind me. They're going to assist me, and we can always make these plays. And now the TP comes in from Surdy into the mid lane. Tomio took a lot of damage, and it's going to look risky to actually fight over a Cloud Dragon. Bounty should just be given over to Team Liquid Honda. I don't think you need to risk fighting this. You've already blown a lot, and you already are getting chunked out pretty low. There goes Harry into the back line, but now it's going to be Soligo in danger. He's got no way out. Oh, does he? He's not trapped in there with you. You're trapped with him as they turn around more, and Evil Geniuses will scare away the remaining members of Team Liquid Honda unless they want to continue to press the issue, and I don't think Team Liquid have what it takes.
Yet another kill for Evil Geniuses Academy. Yes, they do give up the dragon. It was a little risky of them to start that one up, as shown by Armeo, still the general, still able to secure an objective for his team, even though they're this far behind. Let's talk about that in a bit, though. Harry used both W's.
Oh, and so Surdy just shows up and solo kills them.
Wow, yeah. Using both W's on LeBlanc. You no longer have any mobility of any kind. And he does not flash to respond. Surdy would have likely just chased him down afterwards. 8-0 Magical in this game.
Only one turret separates Evil Geniuses from a perfect game, but like I called out, Soligo somehow, by himself, takes on the general and one of his soldiers.
This Lissandra is looking so strong for Soligo in this matchup against LeBlanc and in the entirety of the team fights also. Surdy still on the hunt.
He is very much on the hunt. He's like, you know what? I got Warden's Mail now. What are you going to do to me? The Steel Cats as well? It's going to be so difficult for you to actually do damage. So now, with Mega Gnar, it's popped the pit too soon. So all it will be is a charge from Shelly. Surdy should hop away, make sure they survive while they take down the tier 2.
Rift Herald here. Won't get anything more. That's all they needed from him.
Gonna be the dodge away. Armeo, he's in danger. They could chase down this thing. What? And they want to. Rampaging Cowrie.
And that was literally on the hunt, as that is what Sivir's ultimate is called. As Cowrie will pick up a 4th kill for himself, I believe, still aggressing forward. Bradley,
now you don't want to be here, my friend. Cowrie is here, and look at the damage he shreds through, and even if Tomio's the one to get the kill credit, there's so much damage pumped out by Sivir.
Magical, this game is just not close.
No.
Team Liquid are kind of getting eviscerated by our 8th seed in the event, Evil Geniuses Academy. They move over to this Baron. It is 21 minutes in, and they may just be securing themselves the objective that they need to start taking down these inhibitors.
Cowrie giveth and Cowrie can take it. In this game, it's been about him and Soligo and how they played as Harry. Now, getting chased down by Tomio. He's got no clone anymore, and he was burning to the red buff. So now, Evil Geniuses, even if they don't get the Baron, they're able to force out more recalls. The one saving grace for Team Liquid Honda was the fact that that Baron was stopped.
The engage onto Soligo was enough to stop the Baron, but Team Liquid don't really gain anything off of that at all. They're still at a major deficit. Harry's teleporting in.
He's looking for Surdy. Okay, we're going to take a look at this replay from the very beginning, where it was quite chaotic.
Surdy taken rather low. You can never underestimate the utility of a Lulu, though, as Surdy very quickly brought to near full HP again. And with the Sivir ultimate, the movement speed is wild on these champions. You have Sivir ultimate, you have the movement speed from Lulu. Even Gnar going back into mini gives you the extra movement speed, so you're never getting away from these champions.
Never. And it's easy chase down for them. You've got 4 kills on Cowrie, as you had called out. 2 items, nearly 3 completed for Cowrie in these fights. Unless somehow Team Liquid Academy can actually jump on top and kill Cowrie immediately, this is looking very dire. Soligo, he's just the perfect defense. Same with Smoothie to keep Calorie alive.
Oh, look at Surdy. Look at Surdy.
Yeah,
He's going mega.
But does he want to go in? Dives in, only Harry. But that Cyclone from Tobio on the other side completely splits up Team Liquid Honda for a rampaging monkey. The rest of Team Liquid Honda have to completely scatter.
And everyone's so close to the Baron as well. Evil Geniuses can go directly to that objective, drop all the vision that they could possibly want, and stack up for it. Armeo, oh, he might just die here.
Yeah, he might, because Alo will be the first one to actually die. They take him down. Surdy, he finds himself on a rampage. Who's not rampaging on Evil Geniuses at this point? They are getting everybody. Bradley by himself. This is gangplank, but he doesn't have any friends around, and they can chase down, get an oral into the wall, and an unstoppable Surdy.
It is 15-0, Magical. Evil Geniuses Academy are looking so good today as they take that Baron. They take a huge team fight victory. Everybody rampaging on this roster, and now they start to pick apart the base. More turrets are about to fall. We have to watch this team fight again. Just so close for Surdy to get the double bounce with the Mega. The team fight might have just been completely over from the get-go if he did that, but regardless, he gets the first kill, and it's the first of many, as they get a delayed ace overall in this fight. Team Liquid still can't get a single kill, and again, if you're not killing anyone with Viego on your team, he just doesn't have a passive.
No, he's been completely useless. This is unlike Armeo look. The same with Harry. Both of them. I talked about comfort on the side of Evil Geniuses before, but there's comfort on Team Liquid Honda as well that Viego or Armeo has gotten a good highlight reel just in this year alone on. Plus Harry on his LeBlanc, one of the most powerful and most picked champions for this Oceanic mid laner that we've seen way back when he was in the OPL before it became the LCO. This is a guy who knows how to play this champion, but here, it looks like it's getting completely picked apart by the comfort pick that is Soligo with the dive into the back line and the damage from Tobio. Who needs a team when you're a fed monkey like that? He's got all the bananas he needs in the world while the rest of Team Liquid Honda try to see if they can scare him away, but it means that they will lose and have another structure toppled. But there's no claw from Soligo, just try to scare away Yawn, while Surdy gets that inhibitor dirt mid.
Nobody is even trying to respond to the Gnar either. Here's the engage.
Soligo! That flash was perfect, and here's Surdy with the Gnar ult into the wall. The retribution of Evil Geniuses. They are not down. They are not out. Number one seed be damned. They're here to deliver the first seed curse of spring to Team Liquid Honda.
Baron minions are here. Only Harry alive on the side of Team Liquid. Can he come back with even a single kill for his entire team?
It
doesn't look like it, Magical. This game is wrapped. We're going to game 3.
Game 3, Evil Geniuses. Who would have thought going into this one, a team that had struggled through spring, struggled in the spring proving grounds, and struggled in summer, toppling. This is their first win since January against Team Liquid Honda. That is how long it has been since victory was tasted by Evil Geniuses against this Academy squad.
20-0 as well. This isn't just victory. This is insane. The way that they just won that game, Evil Geniuses Academy, I don't know if they've looked this good the entire year as they just did in that game. That was so not close, and you have to consider the opponent they're playing against too, and the game that they just played before this. Team Liquid looked so good already today. They've looked so good already this entire year. They're the defending champions, and EG just stomped all over them like it was nothing.
And they put them at match point. Both teams at match point. A game 3. CLG Academy in the spring. They lost in this exact same round when they were the number 1 seed. Will Team Liquid Honda be the same and suffer the curse? We'll find out, but we're going to toss it up break, and when we come back, we'll have our host Kangas here for our halftime show.
One thing that is important, I think, when playing or competing is having the mindset or having fun. I'm not saying like not to take it serious, the games, but just to have fun. I think that's very important. And don't overthink too much, or like just play, because there's nothing wrong with being confident, and there's nothing bad that can happen. One thing I used to do is, or like just always just grind the game from like until like 1 a.m. or like 2 a.m. And I think recently I kind of like cut down a bit on that, or like not been doing it too much, and it helped me a lot, I think, because like in reality, like sometimes you don't really learn much when you just keep playing from like 12 to 1 a.m. every day, and then just going to sleep right away, or like not letting your body take time to relax, or maybe give it a little bit of break.